The Closing Bell, Bloomberg's comprehensive cross-platform coverage of the U.S. market close starts right now.
And right now, we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick alongside Sonali Basak taking you through to that closing bell with the global simulcast. It starts. Tim Stenovec joins us in the radio booth. Emily Graffeo in today for Carol Masser. Welcome to our audiences across all of our Bloomberg platforms, including our partnership with YouTube on a decidedly down day, Tim Stenovec, that seems to revolve around uncertainty about the U.S. trading relationship with the rest of the world.
We have certainty on Kazakhstan. We have certainty on Laos.
You went straight there.
We have certainty on Myanmar. We've got certainty on Malaysia, South Africa, Japan, and South Korea. Although, to be fair, maybe it's not certainty. Maybe those are just sort of opening salvos. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I think investors are trying to figure that out, too.
And investors today, they were selling stocks. They were also selling treasuries. I will point out, though, that the dollar index, the Bloomberg Dollar Spot Index, was higher today. So that dollar getting a little bit of a bid.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the dollar. It's becoming a talking point, isn't it? Because even though it's getting a big bid, it's still hovering near the lows of the year. And we're watching a worry here about whether there is an issue of importing inflation while this tariff strategy gets sorted out.
Yeah, and I just want to point out, too, just for our viewers and more importantly our readers on the Bloomberg terminal and Bloomberg.com, there is really a great tracker, basically a tariff tracker that we've done, because it's kind of hard to wrap your head around it. Tim, you were rattling off a few nations there. I mean, I couldn't even remember which countries were still in play.
I was looking at the live blog,
with.
though, to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't remember this stuff. We spoke to the Trek CEO a little earlier. He said uncertainty. I mean, he doesn't know what's going on. It's uncertain.
Yeah, no one does. And remember that a lot of the tariffs we're talking about today, these are those non-sectoral tariffs, basically the across-the-board ones. This doesn't necessarily impact those sectoral tariffs, the ones on autos, the ones on steel and aluminum, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot for investors to parse, and that's a big reason why a lot of investors may be looking for the door. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down more than 400 points, or 0.9%. The S&P down 49 points, or 0.8%. The Nasdaq Composite is going to close out the day down by 0.9%, and the big decliner on the day, that's the Russell 2000, a drop of 35 points, or 1.6%.
A decidedly down day, as you mentioned, Romaine, in the S&P 500. Only 96 of these stocks did move higher today. 404 were decliners.
Listen, we're looking at a broad-based decline as well in the S&P 500. Most major sectors were definitely in the red today, led down by consumer discretionary, which carries Tesla. So don't be too taken aback there, because we did see also very significant drops in materials, energy, financials, and communication services as well. Really only two sectors in the green. Staples, a defensive trade, utilities. Got to still buy those picks and shovels, guys.
All right, well, speaking of buying, I was able to find a few stocks in the green today. The best performer on a percentage basis in the S&P 500 today, look at that. It's Tractor Supply up 3.9%.
Oh, wow.
Rose today, the highest intraday level going back to April. This is thanks to data from Bloomberg's second measure. It says that adjusted sales observed by Bloomberg's second measure rose 4.3% in the second fiscal quarter. What Bloomberg's second measure does is it analyzes swipe data, mostly from debit cards, to get an understanding for how people are purchasing and what their consumer behavior is.
Yeah.
The data does draw from a sample of credit and debit card purchases made by U.S. consumers. Analysts currently estimate revenue for the quarter up about 3.6%.
Have you ever been in a Tractor Supply, Tim?
I have not been in a Tractor Supply. Where I grew up, there was like a local version of Tractor Supply called Farm Supply.
Okay.
So I used to go there all the time.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's where I would get my bag bomb, horse feed, those sorts of things.
Oh, okay.
Have you been to a Tractor Supply?
Yes, I have.
Where?
In suburban Maryland.
Do you remember how popular they were during the pandemic?
I do.
What was that?
I have no idea, Tim.
Okay, we'll move on. From Tractor Supply to rockets, I want to look at Rocket Lab Corporation. RKLB US is the ticker. It's a space company. It's seen as an alternative to SpaceX for some things. It was up 9% today. This always moves, well, I don't want to say always, typically moves higher on days that you see Elon Musk and Donald Trump kind of go at it. Look, Rocket Lab is tiny compared to what SpaceX does and can only do a fraction of what SpaceX does. No question SpaceX is the market leader. But if investors are looking for companies that could be alternatives to some of what SpaceX does, they look at companies such as Rocket Lab, and that's why you have shares higher today by more than 9%. And Wolfspeed in the green today. This has been a decliner for quite some time, up more than 95% today. They filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy late last month. They named a new CEO, Gregor Van Issum, as CFO and EVP, effective September 1st. He does succeed Kevin Spirits, who will return to his prior role of SVP for finance. Once again, shares of Wolfspeed up 95%.
All right, and looking at some of the decliners today, let's start with Tesla. That stock falling 7%, almost $70 billion of market cap wiped out in just one day. And this is coming on concerns that Elon Musk's move to form a new political party, a third party, will draw backlash from President Donald Trump. We saw analysts weighing in on this. William Blair downgraded the stock. They said they would prefer Musk to focus on the robo-taxi rollout. And the broker also noted that Trump's tax bill is set to cut demand for Tesla's emissions standards credits. So that stock down 7% closing out the day. I'm also watching shares of Stellantis. U.S. shares of Stellantis fell as much as 5.7% as Bank of America cut the automaker to neutral from buy, with the broker expecting to see a, quote, very weak first half report on July 29th. And then additionally, the auto workers union warned that the company's Italian car production cratered by a third in the first half and is poised to sink further this year from multi-decade lows. Again, that Stellantis positioning in Europe doesn't look good, at least according to Bank of America, even though the U.S. appears strong. And then finally, Core Scientific, ticker Core Z, shares were down 17% to close out the day. And this is after CoreWeave agreed to buy the company for $9 billion in an all-stock transaction. Now, analysts are positive on the deal for CoreWeave, but they said the negative reaction in the Core Scientific stock could reflect disappointment with the deal terms. And it really was disappointing. It fell as much as 24% and then paired those losses just a bit, but really down in the red today.
Yeah, phenomenal move in Core Scientific that really kind of defied, at least on the surface, some degree of logic. Meanwhile, a lot more logic to be found in the Treasury space. You did see that Treasury curve re-steepen here with yields on the longer end of the curve up about 6 basis points on the 30-year and on the 2-year yield, the shorter end of the curve, only up by about 2 basis points here. And a lot of this seems to be based on the idea of the longer-term risk, potential risk, perceived risk right now going on in the United States and the compensation that investors would demand to take on that risk.
You're talking about bond yields. I'm thinking about egg bites. At Starbucks.
At Starbucks.
You know Brian Niccol, former CEO of Chipotle,
oh, yeah,
really turned that company around. He was at Yum Brands, did Taco Bell. Yeah, Newport Beach, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So he did the Doritos Locos Taco, not exactly health food.
Yeah,
but now they're trying to sort of make Starbucks healthier right now. And what he's doing is he's...
I don't like the sound of that.
Trying to take out canola oil from some of the products at Starbucks, from its food menu. What's wrong with canola oil, you ask?
Well, in June, Brian Niccol pledged in a meeting with U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. to further align the chain's menu with the Trump administration's health priorities. So this move does seem to be I'm sorry, what? The
health priority? So the priority is what? To kill off corn farmers? What I'm sorry.
Maha.
To make the egg bites healthier, I guess.
Yeah.
Did they say what they're replacing it with? Oh,
avocado
yes.
oil.
Avocado oil.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Seed oils have a really bad rap, and they've increasingly had this bad rap, and it's become
political.
Most of our
avocados come from Mexico? Is that, does that
There's literally
a
company called that.
The only good thing about any of this is that you're used to already spending more than you'd like in any given day at Starbucks. So
right. I just do
the idea of it getting more expensive is just, another reality of the situation.
We should note in this piece that even though seed oils have this bad rap, there have been meta-analyses that have found that you're not likelier to die of cardiovascular disease, or it doesn't necessarily bring inflammation higher within the body if you do eat some of these seed oils, even though they are being targeted by Robert F. Kennedy.
What'd you have for breakfast this morning, Tim? Yogurt and fruit, let me guess.
Yeah, I did have some yogurt and fruit.
How about you,
It's not fair. You walk by my desk and you see what I'm
Yogurt and fruit. Emily, save us here. What'd you have for breakfast?
Yogurt and fruit.
Oh, no.
Anyway, all right. Speaking of
That's
yogurt.
what we serve at the office.
Okay, all right. Well, we got a bunch of healthy people here on the show, minus one. Did any of you get out this July 4th weekend and go to the movies?
No.
Okay, well, some people did, and they saw Jurassic World Rebirth, which I'm told is they're scrounging around. Look at that. Is that Scarlett Johansson there? Is Jonathan Bailey? a few other people in this movie, trying to get the DNA from these dinosaurs so they can, I don't know. I haven't seen this movie, so I have no idea what happens next.
This is the 7th one, right?
I don't know. I've only seen the first one, believe it or not, which I think pretty much came out 57 years ago.
I've only seen the first one also. No, that came out like the 1990s. That was the first one.
I was a child. I know that much.
Yeah, I was as well. And I guess probably we're the only two people who've seen this. The movie, right?
Sonali, have you seen this movie?
I have not seen the first Jurassic Park. I will not see the last Jurassic Park.
The first? What?
But I do appreciate ScarJo walking into it like she's about to step into Top Gun. So.
Well, it was a big box office hit, and I guess some people did find a way to just spend the weekend, as we often used to do in the past, in the old days. Spend the holiday weekend at the movie theater.
Yeah, I'll go see that movie. Who doesn't love a dinosaur? Pretty good showing for the weekend too. Hey, that is going to do it for our cross-platform coverage of the market close on Bloomberg TV, Radio, YouTube, and Bloomberg Originals. We will all be back tomorrow, same time, same place.